Okay, class, let's start this video on talking about your poetry essay, kind of talk about the thesis statement, the introduction, kind of what the paper will look like, some points about, writing your essay and stuff like that. So, um, again, have you figured out what image this comes from, what movie this comes from? Anybody know the main actor that was in it, the title of the movie? All right, I'll quit talking about that. So, all right, so let's talk about your poetry essay. Let's talk about specifically your essay topic ideas. Again, hopefully you've read this, you've gone over this. I just want to stress again that these are just some essay topic ideas. Many of the poems, especially like Langston Hughes and Dorothy Parker and them, wrote kind of social commentary type of poems, and a lot of them did. So I included these number one and two that maybe if you have a poem that fits number one and two here, that might get you started off right away. And if number one and two don't fit what you do, then of course you can choose any other idea of what you're talking about. So, with your essay, um, it's going to be up to you what you want to write about. I want your opinions on what you think the poem is about, what you think it's trying to say, that type of thing. So obviously you're going to get an outside source that's either going to support what you're saying or contradict what you're saying, and then use it to kind of do a versus yours versus someone else's opinion type of thing as well. So again, your essay topic idea can be anything what you think it means, so long as you can support it by using lines, quoting lines from your poem. So there is no right or wrong answer, but you do have to support, you have to make an argument by using lines of the poetry and quote it in your paper and stuff like that. So again, remember from the essay assignment, getting started, that these are things that you can talk about in your essay, but you don't have to include all of these. So if diction and let's say tone are really important, then you focus on those two and how those two specific poetic elements really give meaning to the poem or really enhance the meaning of the poem and stuff like that. I assume that theme will probably be an easy thing to write about, because usually what is the poem about really is closely related to the theme and stuff like that. So also just remember, theme is not the same as subject matter of a poem. A poem might be about war, that's the subject matter, but the theme is the poem for or against war? Is it showing the bad or the good side about war? So again, war might be the subject of a poem, but the theme is what it's saying about that subject. So keep in mind that I think theme really is the easiest thing to write about sometimes, but you have to make sure you're not just talking about the subject of it as well. So alright, so let's take a look at an example essay. I have this under D2L content. This is not a perfect example. It's a student example that I've kind of cut down and just pasted a little bit of it in here. So this is an example of an essay. So in the introduction of your essay, for when you're talking about your poem, you're going to want to give some certain amount of information. You're going to want to give the author's name, of course, and you're going to want to give the title of the poem. When you give the title of the poem, just make sure you put it in quotation marks and that you capitalize the first letter of each of the title, or however the title is spelled or written in the text that you get it. So just pay attention to where you're getting the poem title from and just copy it the way you're getting it from your source. So here, this is how it's done here as well. So don't italicize, don't put the title of the poem in all capital letters, and don't underline it. All you do is put quotation marks around the title of the poem, alright? And you may want to refer to your poem a couple times by its title, but by the middle of the paper, I know that you're talking about the Charge of the Light Brigade, and I don't need you to tell me in the Charge of the Light Brigade this and in the Charge of the Light Brigade that. You don't have to do that. So halfway through the poem or a third of the way through the poem, you can just, through your paper, you can just say, in the poem by Lord Tennyson, he says this, or you can just say, in the poem it says this. So refer to the title of your poem a couple times in the beginning of your essay, and then from then on you can just refer to it as the poem. So make sure you give the title of the poem, the author, Make sure you give a little bit of a background if that's important. Sometimes, depending on what century your poet wrote the poem, it's good to give a little bit of context in there. So if you see in this example here that this individual gives a little bit of a background that this poem was written during the Crimean War during the 1850s, and it talks about the cavalry brigade and the Russian army and stuff like that. So they give a little bit of background, not a ton.